بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. We start in the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful. All praise is due to God, the Lord of the worlds, and may the peace and blessings of God be upon His Prophet Muhammad, his family and companions. Students, faculty, friends, and colleagues, I greet you all with the Islamic greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today is the sixth event in a series of events sponsored by the Muslim Student Union at UCI. The Muslim Student Union is a religious student organization which aims to provide a comfortable space where students develop into confident, spiritual, moral, and high-achieving leaders who in turn are a positive influence and example for their surrounding communities. This week, titled Resisting Zionism, a Palestinian Narrative, aims to educate and raise awareness on campus about the plight of the Palestinian people, who have been living under illegal occupation for almost 64 years, with the hope that this knowledge will turn into action. Our annual week has been unfortunately often misconstrued to be one that harbors anti-Semitism. The MSU has clarified numerous times and will continue to clarify that hatred of any particular group on the basis of their race, color, ethnicity, or religion, including people of the Jewish faith, is not and will not be tolerated. We will be the first to speak out against these injustices, just as we would speak up against any other form of racism, no matter what group it targets. Although this goes without saying, the MSU strives to explicitly state its beliefs, nonetheless, it is absolutely hypocritical and immoral to label anyone who has the courage to stand up and speak out against the apartheid policies of Israel as anti-Semitic. The week's aim, in short, is simply to call for an end to the oppression of the indigenous Palestinians, just as it would make sense to call for an end to the oppression that took place in Nazi Germany or apartheid South Africa. It is absolutely imperative that we call for an end to 64 years of systematic subjugation and repression of the Palestinian people. Co-sponsors for this week include Students for Justice in Palestine, MECHA, and the Black Student Union. Before we start today's event, we will begin with some verses from the Holy Book, the Quran.
Thank you. Thank you guys for coming. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم عسى الله أن يجعل بينكم وبين الذين عاديتم منهم مودة والله قدير والله غفور رحيم لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين إنما ينهاكم الله عن الذين قاتلوكم في الدين وأخرجوكم من دياركم وظاهروا على إخراجكم أن تولوهم ومن يتولهم فأولئك هم الظالمون. Perhaps Allah will make friendship between you and those whom you hold as enemies. And Allah has power over all things, and Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. Allah does not forbid you to deal justly and kindly with those who fought not against you on account of religion and did not drive you out of your homes. Verily, Allah loves those who deal with equity. It is only as regards those who fought against you on account of religion and have driven you out of your homes and helped to drive you out that Allah forbids you to befriend them. And whosoever will befriend them, then such are the wrongdoers, those who disobey Allah. Thank you.
So first up, we have Osama for the speak out.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Osama Ahmed. I am a fourth year here at UCI, and I would like to share a couple of thoughts before I leave UCI. This year, we passed the BDS resolution at MSU-UCI, and I think it showed a collective effort between Palestinians, between Muslims, between Arabs, between Hispanics, between black students and white students to come together and to tell the university that we do not want to associate with companies that profit out of the occupation in Palestine. As a Palestinian, my family and my relatives for 65 years have been suffering. And if you look at the title of our shirt, "Struggle Has No Borders," the same struggle that's going on in Palestine is going on in the Mexican-US border. The same struggle that's going on in Palestine is happening to black people here in the United States. And it's our right to speak up and to fight oppression and to tell the administration that sits right there that what you guys are doing is wrong by putting us down, by shoving us away, and listening to the Zionist lobby. Jazakallah khair.
Ali Chowdhury.
Yeah.
Take this off. Assalamu alaikum. Peace with all of you. How you guys doing? Good. I'm doing bad because there's still oppression out there. Yo, can I do something different? Can everybody stand up? Please? Just stand up with me. I want you guys to get loud. I want the administration to hear this. I want the American government to hear this. I want the Israeli government to hear this. I want the world to hear this, all right? You guys gonna get loud with me?
Yeah.
Louder than that, all right? You're gonna repeat after me. Free, free Palestine!
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 No to apartheid!
No to apartheid!
No to apartheid!
No to apartheid!
Free, free Palestine!
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 All right, that was good. All right, now I'm going to continue with my poem. Some of you guys have probably heard me recite this already, but never hurts to speak the truth again. This poem is called Israeli Democracy. And this is how it goes. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome to the land of the holy, the only Middle Eastern country that supports democracy, that gives people the right to vote and choose their sovereignty. Oh yes, this is definitely the land of the holy. The version that you hear on TV, the censorized bullshit that you're told daily. But let's stop it right there and expose the reality of how it really is to live around so-called Israeli territory, where IDF soldiers point their snipers at little babies, pull the trigger and leave dead bodies, where you can't go, where you stopped at checkpoints every day consistently, where you can't go out on certain roads and places because of your identity, where you're treated differently because of your racial history, where discrimination and inequality is extremely prevalent all throughout society. Now wait, ain't that apartheid? Oh, I'm tripping. That's just Israeli democracy. We need all of that for security. So Americans keep on sending Israel $3 billion annually so they can continue bombing Gaza illegally and use white phosphorus missiles on children and teens and lock up prisoners without any legality and kill activists who try to bring medical supplies from Turkey. Yes, this is all a part of Israeli democracy, where they steal land and create settlements strategically, where they build walls that cut through Palestinian communities, trying to marginalize them so they can't interact or move freely, oppressing them mentally and physically, all in an effort to make them leave the native land that they're connected to historically. But this shouldn't surprise me. It's the same thing that happened to the Red Indians and Aborigines, the exact same form of colonial democracy, aka Israeli democracy, aka hypocrisy. So, hopefully, I made you see that Israeli democracy ain't what it seems to be. So speak out against this blunt inequality that persists in the land of Palestine. Let it be known that we stand together as one humanity against all forms of discrimination and supremacy. Peace in the Middle East. Free Palestine. Thank you.
Next up, we have Melissa Gamble.
We, as people of privilege, must not remove ourselves from global human rights issues. Now, I use the term privilege in a matter of relativity and subjectivity, meaning privilege is one's positioning in society. Now, I will restate my first statement. We, as people of shelter, must not remove ourselves from those who do not have shelter because our homes are constantly being bulldozed. Again, we as people must not disidentify from those who have been murdered by drones, military rockets, and other sanctioned state violence. We as people of privilege must identify with the Palestinian struggle and disidentify with colonialism, neoliberalism, capitalism, racism, and all forms of oppression. This week is not about Judaism, or is it about critiquing people or their country of origin by basis of being Jewish or Israeli. It is about acknowledging and then acting against the occupation, killing, forced starvation, and removal of indigenous people. As we stand here today, we do so without bombings, gunfire, and military occupation. We stand here in privilege, but we must understand that what happens in Palestine is not unrelated to state violence here. We must look at the high policing and surveillance of our communities of color in Detroit, in Compton, in Los Angeles, that these people in Palestine are brothers and sisters in the struggle. The struggle for justice. I am standing here today unapologetically, saying that I stand in allyship with Palestine and Palestinians throughout the world. I recognize that there are similarities with my own struggle, the Black struggle, and with many struggles of people of color all across the United States. I stand here boldly saying I condemn the Israeli illegal occupation of Palestine. I do so not to target Israel, but because I am a citizen of the country who has committed the most human rights violations across the world. I advocate against all injustices in the U.S., thus I will advocate against injustices everywhere. Thank you. I'm done.
Sabrine Shalabi, come to the stage.
Hello everyone, my name is Sabrine and I was one of the senators on the council when we voted for divestment that passed unanimously this fall quarter. For all of you who don't know what this divestment resolution is or like what exactly happened, basically our school, our student government, not our school, hopefully our school one day, but our student government decided that we don't want to invest in companies that are profiting off of the illegal occupation of Palestine. And I want to talk about why I actually voted for this. Working on this resolution, my peers and I really had the chance to recognize our privilege. The privilege to not have my home demolished by a Caterpillar bulldozer. The privilege to not be harassed by HP security systems every time I have to go to school. The privilege to not watch my family be murdered by Raytheon missiles. These are all companies that we as a university invest in. And I knew as a human being, I could not be involved in these human rights violations. These human rights violations are not declared by me. They are declared by the United Nations and international law. We are responsible for holding our university, the UC system, financially responsible for its investments. Do not be fooled by those who try to tell you the situation is complicated. There is nothing complicated about human rights. We have received statements of support from all over the world, hundreds of letters from student councils all over the world, from organizations, from large individuals, including Roger Waters and Desmond Tutu and a bunch of activists from the past. The passing of our divestment resolution was largely symbolic, and it is going to take us as students to pressure our university to constantly hold it accountable for all of these human rights violations that we are complicitly participating in. No issue will ever be agreed upon unanimously by every single individual. The civil rights movement was not agreed upon unanimously. The apartheid regime, standing against the South African apartheid regime, was not unanimous. We have this tendency to romanticize the past. These issues, in their time, were controversial. It was the strong resistance of individuals like us, students like us, that brought forth social justice. Looking back now, I ask, what side would you have been on? So anyways, I ask everyone here, we have a petition in the back. Please sign the petition. Please stand against us. Our tuition dollars are complicitly going into this human rights, all these human rights violations that are happening in the occupied Palestinian territories. And thank you all very much.
Next we have Katie.
Hi everybody. So I was just told 20 minutes ago by Sabrine Shalabi that I had to come up here and speak. As you all have met Sabrine Shalabi, you know that she's extremely convincing. So I was thinking about what exactly I was going to say. I was going to talk about privilege, which has been discussed a lot. Melissa Gamble said it beautifully, and so did Sabrine, about how we as humans, not as Muslims, not as somebody who should are supportive of human rights, just as human beings, we need to recognize the fact that there is an apartheid happening in Israel and stand and say it out loud that yes, Israel is having an apartheid and it should not happen against Palestine. Now, the theme of this whole thing is the struggles between the borders. And that wall right there is the physical manifestation of what exactly a border is. And the fact that our UC administration has been going around and putting up signs that basically have told people do not come to this event, that AZW doesn't exist for the most part, is very Islamophobic, xenophobic, and should not be tolerated on this campus. The only time that I've ever been proud to be a part of this campus was when divestment passed in fall quarter. Ever since then, I have seen so much Islamophobia, so much xenophobia, so much racism on this campus, it disgusts me. It truly does. Anytime Metro has an event, anytime BSU has an event, anytime any people of color have events on this campus, why are there signs basically telling people not to look and to actually learn about what is going on? It is bullshit. I'm pissed off. I've been pissed off for the past 4 years on this campus basically to see people that I care about be marginalized, even more so by our administration. Our administration has done absolutely nothing to do any punitive policy that actually recognizes the fact that there are people that don't feel safe on this campus anymore. That border right there needs to come down, not only in Palestine, but also within this campus. And once and for all, can we finally recognize the fact that racism does exist? It needs to fucking end right now. And us as UC students need to stand together, and Abby needs to stand with us instead of us constantly going against each other and say that yes, there is an occupation happening, there's constantly human rights going along, and if you are a part of this university, you're paying your money to go to this university, you should stand with Palestine. Thank you.
Next we have Hamza Yamut, who's gonna perform a few spoken word poems.
How you guys doing? Good? Where is she at? She really spoke from the heart. That was awesome. Can we give it up for her one more time and everyone else who came out? So this is my first time at an event like this, and I'm a little awestruck, to be completely honest. You guys are all awesome, and one more time, I promise I'm not gonna make your hands hurt too much, but for SJP for having the courage to stand up for justice. So my first poem is called When God Calls. And that's exactly what all of you are doing right here today. You're answering the phone when God's calling on you to take a stand, right? My phone rings. Who's there? Another night, another scare, no call or ID, only inspiration diverting my energy. I drop everything as my soul rings. Voicemail is full. These words repeat in my memory like a record. Although this record isn't broken, new tracks come as the old ones leave. Words whisper around my ears like leaves in a fall breeze. It must have been a dream the way my life is turning out to be. When God calls, there's no time to second guess. Decisions are made in moments. Our destinies must not be suppressed. When God calls, I can feel my soul vibrating. There's no silencing this phone, no call waiting, only an urgent message asking me to look around, telling me to stop my stressing. With a will, there is hope. But when God calls, all of my obstacles are jokes. There's not a thing we can't overcome in this meditative state when all emotions are overrun. Don't look for your phone's ring because God is in everything. Even the crunch of fallen leaves scream of glory and integrity. Justice has been established. Just this message has increased my soul's bandwidth. Only 2 years into my past, I couldn't stand with my head held high. But today, as I'm praying with my imagination directed towards the sky, I can't restrict the tears that tear down my cheeks. My eyelashes have become wet with praise as my vision begins to streak. I wonder what the moonlight looks like without lights. Or the way the world would turn if all of a sudden humans cease to fight. If we could change our own chemistry instead of stealing lives to study minds, how would that change our hearts? Life is like traveling an everlasting road with only a flashlight and an unbearable pair of shoes. Uncomfortable in our own skin by the age of 12 or 22, few quit and many stand still, unable to choose their next move. And the ones who walk discover that the road exists. For every 3 steps taken, another 3 are revealed. There is no end to the road of greatness. Our lives are measured by what we do. When God calls, run. Watch your flashlight transform into 2. And those 2 turn into high beams that shine like the lights they place on planes. And before you know it, your entire existence is light, brighter than the sun. You'll be able to see the road to its gates of greatness, but you won't stop at those gates of greatness because you have already traveled so far. Your light has begun to illuminate the sky, so during the nights, you have become a walking moon. The clocks no longer tick and tock, so you know your time is coming soon. As you stand in spirits at the beach, emptying your soul into the ocean like the ashes of those the earth once knew, you have become conscious of the sounds of the universe and played to their same tune. Its song is called Ultimate Peace because you pass knowing you have answered the phone every time God has called on you. Still have time for it. Okay. So that's the end of the first one, guys. Second one is called People of the World. And this one is about recognizing the struggle of each ethnicity. Compton, Bangkok, Gaza, Naples, Zimbabwe, Chicago, Russia, Syria, Haiti, Korea, India. Can't you see the people of the world? Enough is enough. When push comes to shove, guns are drawn and bombs are dropped. Satellites hunt and plans are plot. Love is free. War is not. As teachers preach the same skewed fundamentals they were taught, don't be worried, claim distraught. Should we remain rebellious, remembering those we lost? Stare into the eyes of the beast and claim you fought. With so much wrong, there must come light. Will you stand and fight with the tools the universe has given you? Or will you run and hide to the darkest places only pigeons flew? Eat what they give you. But I would rather be alive and eating pigeon food than be a slave to contentment. The people I love, but their morals bring forth only emotions of resentment. Conspicuously fighting one another, we spiral downwards in inhuman acts, proving opinions that are horrendous. Soon the time will come where we'll have to correct this. Families starve on the Chicago streets without a place to sleep, and when the winter comes, may God have mercy. Watching kin die from pneumonia hurts deep. In Zimbabwe, the men struggle through landfills for clothes because from the sun they seek relief. Freedom fighters watch silently as their AKs scream the sounds of murder into the stomachs of those their bullets seek. Handguns pop in line with the heads of holy Sikhs. Can't you hear their shrieks? I can. And while the children of Syria, Palestine, Haiti and Korea hardly have food to eat, throw away your leftovers because when you're not hungry, you'll still eat what you please. Be the change you want to see throughout your world and be persistent like the waves of the sea. Search within to find your vision. The people of the world are waiting for all to see. And the third one is called Distant. This one is a little out there. It's about a dream I had one night. The expression on his face had confessed his mind's atrocities. No more than 2 feet away from the woman he cared about so freely, his reality had him hostage in a cell across the seas where the mosquitoes and fleas are thieves of those who were once happy. The murderer inside his closet held an AK-47 to his chest, but every time the idea of death had won the war, this warrior refused to die. Deprived of everything but the ability to think and create stories deep within his thoughts, he realized his heritage was a disability. I know this because I could see it in his eyes, although he must have been at least 5,000 miles away. Where I'm from, they send out messages of love with hate, he exclaimed through vocal cords who quickly closed the gap while piercing through my heart, sending me no less than 3 steps back. As she reached for my hand to no avail, my gaze was caught by hers. It's amazing how I wound up here. Although I was silent for no more than 10 seconds, I had been gone for 3 years. In my travels, I met the Asian, African American, Latino who was born in the Middle East, claiming all religions, including but not excluded to Confucianism, Buddhism, Jewish, Islam, and biblical beliefs. He even praised the trees for providing the oxygen he needs to breathe. Still, every country he entered, he was asked to leave, so during the fall, the leaves became his home. The methodic rituals that he performed daily intrigued those around him, but the arrogance in their hearts left him weary. As quiet as the pumping of his blood, I watched his every move from above. Every movement he made, he did so with love. Every word that fled the boundary of his lips offered compassion, and still he had his critics. Tormenting words that claimed him to be like those who were modernly known as autistic haunted his existence. All of this because he refused to speak unless improving on silence. In time, I grew to love this man. Even though he was nothing more than an idea, during the hours I have fantasized about world peace, you could not break my meditation with a strike of your hand. Millions will whisper loudly in regards to this vision as a delusion of grandeur. And to them, our response will be simple. We are distant, but willing to close the gap. You guys want to hear one more? Doesn't sound like you want to hear one more. Do you guys want to hear one more? All right, this last one is called Beautiful. It's about humanity's journey and where we are now and what needs to change. Such a beautiful thing. I bet the suburbs of this country could never render. Oh man, I messed that one up. Hold on a second. Such a beautiful thing. Knowledge so deep it forces us to sing, bringing home the powers of the ancient secret worlds with secret wisdoms. When this life was created, I can see the people of old with statutory faces, beautiful new fragrance. This world is such a precious being, from the top of Mount Everest, way below the seas and all in between. We started off with rocks and sticks and rose to our feet. Rode animals that were never tamed with these wild beasts that we fought through learning to use the ocean's breeze, a struggle where everyone is not what they seem. An ordinary object is used for visions of the unseen, and powerful rocks shine bright to create the utmost envious gaze. Random events I call the game set the forest ablaze. I sit back, watch this world in its craze. The struggle never ceases to amaze. Years pass and wisdom grows old. New ideas are formed and people's souls grow. Wars raged as peacetime passes. Scholars and great men decide to invent new ways to achieve a common goal. 2 hours are measured by sands constrained with glass. Too large an accomplishment for one human as a whole. Still we look to the heavens. What's past these skies that change every day? There must be a lot of knowledge in figuring out the unseen. Lead humanity back to greatness with only one thing, a thought that provoked the world we see. One thought to start life, religion, and the books that we read. Plead for these generous ideas to come back. One more revolution, one more renaissance, one more new idea to start that. Struggle, such a beautiful thing. I bet the suburbs of this country could never understand the peaceful anarchy. 2 cities down and 1 block of every street, the struggle, where everyone is not what they seem. The possibility to grow a bushel of flowers straight from concrete. Mathematical equations we've thought through for days on end with no food, only water. We've traveled deserts for war and many people have been slayed for claiming they're God sent. Holy books have been written with words of wisdom, and better yet, some pretend they only map to the madness. Poetry, this I believe in for one soul to mend. Buildings scrape the skies and ships sink under the seas. Missiles to kill entire nations plant the most evil seeds. Good and bad deeds, that fight is never ending. Destroy and rebuild. Countries with lack of will are overtaken, and we poison our own kind. You see, the meaning of life isn't mine to find, but if I ever break through, I'll let the world know this life is just a cycle, and without change, what's the use? Thanks so much for listening.
Can we give him another round of applause? Next we have Abraham. Is he here? Abraham Medina. All right, Iram Siddiqui. Or Abraham's right there. There you go. There he is.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for inviting me today and allowing me to share this poem with y'all. My name is Abraham. I have been part of different organizations on campus, UCI alumni, and I myself, I am undocumented, I am unafraid, and I realize that a lot of us struggles we share against human rights violations at home and abroad. We know that there's human rights violations being committed when most of the people inside detention centers are innocent and haven't committed a crime. They're breaking up our families, and a lot of people and corporations are making money from the detention of undocumented people inside detention centers. So that's where we say an end to investment to corporations that make money off of human rights violations, and an end to investment in corporations who profit from genocidal policies in Palestine. So I wanted to share this poem with y'all. I wrote it in response to the Irvine 11 who spoke truth to power and who went through a lot of ordeal in taking a brave stance. We are here to represent our right to dissent. We are here trying to get that knowledge, but most of our people can't afford to go to college. They tell us to be civil, but they're the ones contributing, supporting genocide, that there is evil. They tell us they support illegal settlements. They silent about Israel using white phosphorus. They fire workers, convict students, then they claim they do a lot for us. That's why we ain't scared of civil disobedience. That's why the Irvine 11 fought with resilience. That's why our hearts stay at peace at every hour, knowing that Irvine 11 took a stand, speaking truth to power. We're about to occupy this building, spread this feeling, make it clear that tuition to us is license stealing. We need public education, not more tanks. Down with exploitation, down with Goliath, down with the banks. UCI stands for military research, a place where criminals can come, speak, and try to teach us, but they can't ever reach us. We stay true like King and other righteous teachers. I charge UCI with conspiracy to criminalize its own student body, with conspiracy to silence those who refuse to be a zombie. We're here to learn from our mistakes, organize and stay focused 24/7, and let it be clear that we stand strong with the Irvine 11. So I just want to give also a shout out to the investment projects being happening here and all over the state. May the struggle continue, and may the end to genocidal policies abroad and human rights violations here at home end soon enough.
Next up, we have Iram Siddiqui.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace be upon you. Everyone that has gone so far has been so beautiful and amazing about the way that they've been talking about everything. And we just heard about the Irvine 11. And I was a freshman. It happened when I came in as a freshman, the MSU suspended. And every time we go in, their administration tells us, we're trying to help you. We are trying to help you. Let me tell you something. As a freshman, we are still feeling the effects of MSU being suspended. And every single day when we wake up in the morning, I wake up and I come to campus during this time of our anti-Zionist week. And every single day in the morning, we're ready to see the scheduling people out there, measuring our displays, measuring everything that we do, and sitting there and constantly discriminating against us. I just want everyone to know that we know what they're doing is wrong. And we want to call them out and let them know what they're doing is wrong. Every single day we have to wake up and hear it and see it. And every single day, MSU still stands up and does it. Because we don't care. Because we realize that every time that we come up, we have to wake up in the morning, we have to deal with all of this crap. We are still willing to do it. Because you know why? There's people who are oppressed that are abroad, and we ourselves, are funding it. And you know this through the UC divestment campaign that's been happening. We want to divest from the companies because we don't want our money to go to somewhere where we're giving bulldozers, where we're giving money to build the wall. We don't want that. Why is it that we don't have the advocacy to be able to tell people where we don't want our money to go? As a university, as students of this university, as students of Conscious, we should be able to tell every single person we don't want their money to go to something as ridiculous as an occupation in Palestine. So please, sign the petition that's happening and let everyone know. Every single time that you're discriminated against, don't be afraid to let people know and let them know to their face that what they're doing is wrong. Thank you.
Okay, that was beautifully said. So everyone try to sign the petition in the back. If you want to stay involved with the Palestine issue, there will be a mailing list that you can write your email, your information in the back for the Students for Justice in Palestine. And that's like year-round work for Palestine advocacy. Thank you guys for coming out. We hope today's event was informative. Please join us later today at 7:30 in Crystal Cove Auditorium in the Student Center for our last talk by Dr. Sohail Dalatsai and Dr. Robin Kelly. Thank you.